The 1985 P Washington quarter dollar is a common yet interesting coin that continues the legacy of the Washington Quarter series, which began in 1932. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint, this coin bears the P Mint mark and was produced in large quantities. Over 775 million pieces were minted that year, making it highly accessible in circulation. Designed by John Flanagan, the obverse of the 1985 P quarter features a portrait of George Washington, the first President of the United States, facing left. The inscriptions include Liberty, the motto, In God We Trust, and the date 1985 below the bust. On the reverse, you'll find a heraldic eagle with outstretched wings, perched on a bundle of arrows with 2 olive branches beneath, symbolizing strength and peace. Around the top rim is the inscription, United States of America, and at the bottom is the denomination quarter dollar, with E pluribus unum centered above the eagle. This coin is made of a copper-nickel clad composition, a copper core sandwiched between 2 layers of copper-nickel alloy. It weighs 5.67 grams and has a diameter of 24.3 millimeters with a reeded edge. The 1985 P Washington quarter holds minimal value in circulated condition due to its high mintage and widespread availability. Most worn examples are worth only their face value of 25 cents. However, uncirculated examples graded MS65 or higher can command modest premiums. As of recent market trends, an MS65 quarter might be valued around $5 to $10, while superb gem examples graded MS67 by PCGS or NGC can reach up to $100 or more, though this depends heavily on demand and eye appeal. Coins with strong luster, clean surfaces, and sharp strikes are preferred by collectors and can sell for more. Full strike details, especially on the eagle's feathers and Washington's hair, make a significant difference in how collectors perceive the coin's quality. No major errors are officially recorded for the 1985 P quarter, but collectors do look for anomalies such as off-center strikes, die cracks, die clashes, and doubled dies. These types of mint errors can increase a coin's value considerably based on the severity and visibility of the error. For example, a dramatic off-center strike or a visible double die might bring in anywhere from $50 to several $100, depending on its condition and rarity. Another thing to note is that while the 1985 P quarter is not silver, some people mistakenly think older-looking quarters might be. Only quarters dated 1964 or earlier contain 90% silver, so the 1985 issue is strictly a base metal coin. Next up, the 1997 P Washington quarter dollar is a modern coin struck at the Philadelphia Mint as part of the long-running Washington Quarter series, which began in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Like other standard quarters from the era, the 1997 P features the familiar design by John Flanagan, with a left-facing portrait of President George Washington on the obverse. The inscriptions include Liberty at the top, In God We Trust to the left of the bust, and the date 1997 centered below. The reverse showcases a heraldic eagle with wings spread, perched on a bundle of arrows and flanked by olive branches, symbolizing military readiness and peace. Surrounding the design are the inscriptions United States of America, a pluribus unum, and quarter dollar. The 1997 P quarter is composed of a copper-nickel clad alloy, an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. It weighs 5.67 grams and has a diameter of 24.26 millimeters with a reeded edge. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 595 million of these coins in 1997, making it extremely common in circulation and easily found in pocket change even today. Because of its high mintage and modern composition, the coin holds minimal value in circulated condition, typically only its face value of 25 cents. However, coins in uncirculated condition, especially those graded MS-65 or higher by grading services such as PCGS or NGC, can have a slightly higher market value. A 1997 P quarter in MS-65 condition might be worth around $2 to $5, depending on demand and visual appeal. In MS-67 or MS-68, values can jump to $25 or more. But only coins with exceptional luster, clean surfaces, and sharp strike details are likely to reach that range. These higher-grade examples are usually found in original mint rolls or uncirculated mint sets. While the 1997 P Washington quarter does not have any widely recognized major varieties, collectors do seek out mint errors that occasionally occur during production. Some of the more desirable errors include off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, die clashes, and doubled dies. For instance, a well-centered off-center strike or a strong doubled die can bring in $50 to several $100, depending on severity and condition. These errors are not common, but are always worth watching for when examining bulk change or rolls of quarters. Next up, the 1991 D Washington quarter dollar is part of the long-standing Washington quarter series, which began in 1932 and continued with the original eagle reverse until 1998. This particular coin was struck at the Denver Mint, indicated by the D Mint mark located to the right of George Washington's ponytail on the obverse. The obverse design, created by sculptor John Flanagan, features a left-facing bust of George Washington, the first President of the United States. Around the portrait are the inscriptions "Liberty, in God we trust," and the date 1991. On the reverse side, the coin depicts a heraldic eagle with its wings spread, perched on a bundle of arrows and flanked by 2 olive branches, symbols of military readiness and peace. The inscriptions include United States of America across the top, E pluribus unum above the eagle, and quarter dollar along the bottom. The 1991 D quarter is made of copper-nickel clad, a composition introduced in 1965. It has an inner core of pure copper and an outer layer of copper-nickel alloy, resulting in a silvery appearance with no silver content. The coin weighs 5.67 grams and has a diameter of 24.26 millimeters with a reeded edge. Over 630,001,991 D quarters were minted, making this a very common coin in circulation. Due to the high mintage, circulated examples are worth only their face value, 25 cents, and are easily found in everyday change. However, collectors do show some interest in high-grade, uncirculated examples. Coins graded MS-65 by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC may be valued between $2 and $5, while MS-67 examples can bring in $25 to $40 or more, depending on market demand. These values are primarily for coins with excellent strike quality, strong luster, and few or no noticeable contact marks. Finding such high-grade coins usually requires looking through uncirculated mint sets or original mint rolls from 1991. While there are no widely recognized varieties for the 1991 D Washington quarter, some error coins from that year are collected and can be valuable. Common error types include off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, and die clashes. Dramatic or visually impressive errors can raise a coin's value significantly, sometimes reaching prices of $50 to several $100s, depending on rarity and condition. There are also occasional reports of weak strikes or misaligned dies, which may have minor value to error collectors. Next up, the 1990p Washington quarter dollar is a modern U.S. coin struck at the Philadelphia Mint, denoted by the P mint mark found on the obverse of the coin just to the right of George Washington's ponytail. It continues the classic design that has defined the Washington Quarter series since its inception in 1932. The obverse, designed by John Flanagan, features a left-facing portrait of George Washington, the first President of the United States. Around the portrait are the inscriptions "Liberty" at the top, "In God We Trust" to the left, and the date 1990 at the bottom. The reverse depicts a heraldic eagle with wings spread, perched on a bundle of arrows and surrounded by olive branches, symbolizing the United States' readiness for defense and its preference for peace. Around the edge are the inscriptions "United States of America" and "Quarter Dollar," with "E pluribus unum" just above the eagle. This quarter is composed of a copper-nickel clad alloy, meaning it has an inner core of pure copper and outer layers made of 75% copper and 25% nickel. It weighs 5.67 grams and has a diameter of 24.26 millimeters with a reeded edge. The 1990p quarter had an enormous mintage of over 613 million coins, making it extremely common in circulation. As a result, circulated examples typically hold only face value, 25 cents, and are not considered rare or valuable. However, in uncirculated condition, the 1990p quarter can be worth more to collectors, especially those seeking high-grade examples. A quarter-graded MS-65 might sell for around $3 to $5, while an MS-67 example can be worth $25 or more. These values are based on the coin's strike quality, surface preservation, and eye appeal. Full luster, minimal contact marks, and sharply defined details, especially on Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers, are all factors that increase the value of uncirculated coins. High-end specimens are usually found in original mint rolls or U.S. mint uncirculated coin sets. While the 1990p quarter does not have any famous varieties, collectors should still be alert to mint errors that can increase a coin's value. Errors such as off-center strikes, broad strikes, die clashes, double strikes, and clipped planchets are all possibilities. A strong doubled die on the obverse or reverse, if discovered, would be especially desirable. These errors can range in value from $25 to several $100s, depending on the type and severity of the flaw. Though rare, such coins do appear from time to time, especially in bulk coin searches or dealer stock. First up, today, we're taking a look at a 1968 Washington quarter with no mint mark, and more specifically, in a blackish-toned, circulated condition. Let's find out what it's worth in today's market. The 1968 Washington quarter was struck in Philadelphia if there's no mint mark. By this year, quarters were no longer made of silver. Instead, they used a copper-nickel-clad composition. So, despite common misconception, most 1968 quarters have no silver content. Now, what about that black color? If your 1968 quarter has a dark, almost black appearance, it's typically due to environmental exposure, things like soil, chemicals, or fire damage. While it might look cool, unfortunately, this kind of discoloration usually lowers the coin's numismatic value. In average circulated condition with black toning and normal wear or damage, this coin is still worth its face value, 25 cents. But if it's part of an error strike or has a rare flaw, it might be worth more. Rare errors like doubled dies or off-center strikes from 1968 can push value up sometimes $20 to $100, depending on the severity and condition. But these are the exceptions, not the rule. So, your blackish 1968 quarter without a mint mark? It's a cool piece of history, but unless it's got a major error or is in high grade, it's likely just worth 25 cents. Next up, the 1990 D Washington Quarter, a silver look-alike that's sparking curiosity in the coin world. Is it worth anything in today's market? Let's find out. The Washington Quarter has been a staple of U.S. pocket change since 1932. But here's something important. The 1990 D Quarter was not made of silver. It's composed of copper and nickel, unless it's an error coin. So if you've got a silver-colored 1990 D Quarter, it's most likely just worn or plated, not actual silver. Now, there are rare cases where coins were struck on the wrong planchet, like a silver planchet intended for proof coins. But these are extremely rare and authenticated by professionals. If your 1990 D Washington Quarter is damaged, here's the truth. It likely holds only face value, 25 cents. Even rare mint errors lose a lot of value when heavily worn or damaged. In today's market, a damaged 1990 D Quarter, even if it were a true mint error, might bring in $5 to $20 at best. And that's if a collector is still interested. If you suspect your quarter is something special, maybe struck on the wrong planchet, or has a rare error, get it authenticated by PCGS or NGC. Otherwise, it's best to enjoy it as part of your everyday change. Next up, the 1982-D Washington Quarter, not just any quarter one that's blackened, damaged, and still possibly valuable. Let's find out how much it could be worth. Even in rough condition. In 1982, the U.S. Mint stopped producing uncirculated coin sets due to budget cuts. That meant fewer high-quality coins were preserved by collectors, especially from the Denver Mint, marked by the letter D. These coins became unexpectedly rare in better grades. Now here's the twist. Although Washington Quarters minted in 1982 were clad, not silver, some rare errors and unusual toning have made specific coins highly collectible. Typically, a blackened or heavily worn coin loses most of its value. But some error coins, such as off-center strikes, double dies, or unique toning, can still fetch surprising amounts, even in poor condition. So, what's the value of a 1982 D Quarter that's blackened or damaged? Most sell for face value 25 cents. But if it has a mint error or is part of a rare strike, it could sell for $10 to $75, and in rarer cases, up to $250. Look for these signs: unusual weight, off-center images, doubling in the lettering, or missing clad layers. Even damaged coins with rare errors can be valuable to the right buyer. Got a 1982 D Quarter that looks strange or beat up? Don't toss it just yet. It could be worth more than you think. Next up, the 1980 Washington Quarter in your pocket change is worth more than 25 cents? Let's dive into the fascinating world of coin collecting to find out 1980 marked a significant year in U.S. coinage history. For the first time, the Philadelphia Mint began stamping a P-Mint mark on its quarters, breaking a 188-year tradition of no mint marks on coins from this facility. In today's market, a standard 1980p Washington Quarter in circulated condition typically holds its face value of 25 cents. However, if you possess one in uncirculated or mint state, its value can increase. For instance, an MS-65 graded coin might fetch around $15, while an MS-67 could be valued up to $210. Certain errors can significantly boost a coin's value. A 1980p quarter struck on a 5-cent planchet sold for $253. Off-center strike errors, depending on their severity, can range from $15 to over $150. If you believe you have a valuable 1980p quarter, consider getting it professionally graded. Organizations like PCGS and NGC can provide authentication and grading services, which can significantly influence a coin's market value. Next up, the 1970 Washington Quarter, without a mint mark, and what it could be worth in today's market if it's in extra fine condition. First off, let's talk about the coin itself. The Washington Quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor George Washington's 200th birthday. But by 1970, most U.S. quarters were made with a copper-nickel-clad composition, not silver. So here's the catch: the 1970 Washington Quarter without a mint mark was minted in Philadelphia and is not silver. However, due to its age and some rare varieties, it's still of interest to collectors. In extra fine condition, a standard 1970 quarter with no mint mark is usually worth about $1 to $3, depending on demand. That's not bad for a coin you might still find in pocket change. But wait, there's more. Some rare varieties and errors from 1970 have sold for hundreds, even thousands of dollars. One of the most famous is the 1970 S-proof quarter, struck on a 1941 Canadian quarter, which sold for over $35,000. However, that's an S-mint proof coin, not the standard no-mint Philadelphia strike we're focusing on today. So, to wrap it up, if you've got a 1970 Washington quarter with no mint mark in extra fine condition, it's typically worth around $1 to $3. It's not a retirement fund, but it's still more than face value. The 2015 Saratoga State Quarter is one of the final coins released in the America the Beautiful Quarters program, a series launched in 2010 by the United States Mint to honor national parks and sites in each state and territory. This specific quarter was the fifth and final release of the 2015 set, representing the state of New York. It commemorates the pivotal Saratoga National Historical Park, which preserves the site of the Battle of Saratoga, one of the most significant battles of the American Revolutionary War. This coin holds a deep historical significance as the Battle of Saratoga, fought in 1777, marked a turning point in the war. It was here that American forces defeated the British Army, led by General John Burgoyne, which led to his surrender. That victory gave France the confidence to officially enter the war as an ally to the American colonies, a move that changed the tide of history. To honor this critical event, the quarter's reverse side features a powerful image symbolizing the surrender. It shows a close-up of the moment a British officer hands over his sword to an American Continental Army officer. The inscription, British Surrender 1777, is elegantly placed to reinforce the historical narrative, alongside the words Saratoga, New York, 2015, and E Pluribus Unum. The designer of the reverse is artist Barbara Fox, and the sculptor was Renata Gordon. The coin's obverse features the familiar image of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan and used across all state and America, the Beautiful Quarters. The quarter was minted in three main locations: Philadelphia, marked with a P, Denver, marked with a D, and San Francisco, marked with an S. Circulation strikes came from Philadelphia and Denver, while proof and silver-proof versions were produced at the San Francisco Mint. While the Saratoga quarter was minted in large numbers for general circulation, it is highly regarded for its historical subject and clean, symbolic design. In terms of value, most Saratoga quarters you'll find in circulation today are worth their face value, 25 cents, especially if they're worn or lightly circulated. However, uncirculated examples, especially in mint state grades like MS-65 or higher, can command slightly more from collectors. An MS-65 Saratoga quarter from the Philadelphia or Denver Mint may sell for around $1 to $5, depending on the market and demand. However, Coins in MS-67 or MS-68 condition have been auctioned for higher amounts, some reaching $30 to $100 or more, particularly if they're graded and certified by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. Next up, the Perry's Victory and International Peace Memorial Quarter was released in 2013 as part of the United States Mint's America, the Beautiful Quarters program. This coin represents the state of Ohio and commemorates a monument of both historical and symbolic importance, the Perry's Victory and International Peace Memorial, located at Put-in Bay on South Bass Island in Lake Erie. The memorial was established to honor Commodore Oliver Hazard, Perry's decisive naval victory over the British during the War of 1812, and to celebrate the long-standing peace between the United States, the United Kingdom, and Canada that followed. The War of 1812 is often referred to as America's Second War for Independence, and one of its most critical moments occurred on Lake Erie. In September 1813, Commodore Perry led American naval forces against the British fleet and emerged victorious despite heavy odds. His famous dispatch after the battle, "We have met the enemy, and they are ours," became a celebrated phrase in American military history. The memorial itself, a towering Doric column that stands 352 feet high, was completed in 1915 and remains one of the tallest monuments in the United States. It serves not only as a tribute to those who fought, but also as a symbol of lasting peace and diplomatic friendship. The reverse of the Perry's Victory Quarter, designed by artist Don Everhart and sculpted by Joseph Mena, features a striking image of the memorial itself rising in the background, while a statue of Commodore Perry stands in the foreground, symbolizing leadership, courage, and remembrance. The inscriptions include Perry's Victory, Ohio, the year 2013, and E Pluribus Unum. The obverse, like all quarters in the series, features the familiar portrait of George Washington designed by John Flanagan. This quarter was minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, with a P mint mark, Denver, marked D, and San Francisco, marked S. Circulation strikes came from Philadelphia and Denver, while proof and silver-proof versions were produced in San Francisco. Total mintage figures are moderate, with over 131 million coins from Philadelphia and more than 107 million from Denver, making it relatively easy to find in circulation. The San Francisco Mint produced lower quantities for collectors, including both clad and silver-proof coins with mirror-like finishes and frosted details. In terms of value, most Perry's Victory quarters found in pocket change are worth face value, 25 cents, especially if they are worn or circulated. However, uncirculated examples, especially those graded MS-65 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, can be worth a bit more to collectors. A high-grade example from either the Philadelphia or Denver Mint in MS-67 or MS-68 condition can fetch anywhere from $10 to $50 or more, depending on quality and market demand. Next up, the 2020 Weir Farm National Historic Site Quarter, part of the America the Beautiful Quarters program, honors Connecticut's contribution to American art. Weir Farm, located in Ridgefield and Wilton, was the home and studio of American Impressionist painter Julian Alden Weir. The site became a National Historic Site in 1990 and was redesignated as a National Historical Park in 2021. The quarter's reverse, designed by Justin Kuntz and sculpted by Phoebe Hemphill, depicts an artist painting en plein air outside Weir's studio, with the inscription, "A National Park for Art," highlighting the site's artistic legacy. The obverse features the restored 1932 portrait of George Washington by John Flanagan. The coin was minted in Philadelphia, P, Denver, D, San Francisco, S, and West Point, W. The W mint mark coins, bearing the special V75 privy mark, were released to commemorate the 75th anniversary of the end of World War II. With a limited mintage of 2 million. In terms of value, circulated P and D mint mark coins are generally worth face value. Uncirculated examples may fetch a premium, with prices varying based on condition. The W mint mark coins are more sought after. Uncirculated examples can range from $5 to $30, while higher grade specimens, such as those graded MS-60, MS-67, have sold for over $700. Proof and silver proof versions from the San Francisco Mint also carry premiums, with silver proofs valued around $18 or more. Collectors value the Weir Farm Quarter for its artistic theme, historical significance, and the unique W mint mark variants. Next up, the 2001 New York State Quarter was the third coin released in the U.S. Mint's ambitious 50 State Quarters program. This program began in 1999 and aimed to celebrate each of the 50 U.S. states with its own unique quarter design. New York's coin was officially released on January 2, 2001, making it one of the early entries in the decade-long program. Designed by John Mercanti, the obverse, or front, of the coin features the familiar profile of George Washington, the first President of the United States. This portrait is the standard obverse design used on all quarters in the series. Around Washington's head, you will see the inscriptions: United States of America at the top, Liberty on the left, In God We Trust on the right, and the denomination quarter dollar at the bottom. Below Washington's neck is the mint mark, either P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, or S for San Francisco, depending on where the coin was minted. The reverse of the New York quarter is where things get interesting. The design celebrates New York's status as the gateway to freedom, prominently featuring the Statue of Liberty in the foreground. Behind Lady Liberty, there's an outline of the state of New York, and overlaid across that are lines representing the Hudson River and the Erie Canal, two waterways that played major roles in New York's economic and social development. To the right, you'll find a star, pinpointing the location of New York City. The words "Gateway to Freedom" are inscribed proudly across the coin. At the top of the reverse side, it reads, New York, 1788, the year New York became a state. At the bottom, you'll find the year of minting, 2001, and the phrase "e pluribus unum," which means out of many, one. This design was selected through a statewide competition, and it reflects New York's rich heritage as an entry point for millions of immigrants, particularly through Ellis Island. The Statue of Liberty, a gift from France, stands as a symbol of hope, liberty, and opportunity, a fitting choice for a state known for its diversity and cultural impact. Now let's talk about the mintage numbers. The Philadelphia Mint produced around 655 million of these coins, while the Denver Mint struck about 619 million. These massive production numbers make the coin relatively common in circulated condition. So if you find one in your change, it's not necessarily rare, but that doesn't mean it isn't valuable under the right circumstances. There was also a limited number of proof versions produced by the San Francisco Mint. These include both clad proofs and silver proofs. The clad proof versions were struck for collectors and have a mirror-like finish, with a mintage of around 3 million. The silver proof versions were struck on 90% silver planchets and had a slightly lower mintage of just under 900,000. These silver-proof coins are highly prized by collectors and typically command higher values. Now let's dive into coin values. For circulated 2001 New York quarters from the Philadelphia or Denver mints, The value is generally face value, 25 cents, unless the coin is in exceptionally high grade, such as mint state 65 or higher. In MS 65 condition, a 2001p or 2001d New York quarter is worth about $1 to $2. But if it's graded MS 67 or above, it could be worth $30 or more, depending on demand and market trends. The real value comes from proof versions and error coins. A clad proof in perfect condition can sell for $3 to $6, while a silver proof can be worth $10 to $20, depending on silver prices and coin quality.